Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. When the spirit of so-called justice in America is blindfolded by the fool, is there romantic justice? Is there economic justice? Are the righteous being treated in a way that's just? No, no, and no. It just so happens that I'm the blameless one. Everyone else is doing the wrong thing. My parents are blameless in a sense, and there's something to be said about my brothers. What have you. So while the governing class is treating me unfairly, keep in mind that I made a video about, I believe it was 8 reasons why I get angry and I yell, mostly when I'm not making videos. I live in the middle of nowhere on quite a bit of land, but I would nowhere near be yelling as much if I had a suitable helper, if society had treated me fairly. So while society is ordering females to shun me and harassing them and coercing them, while they're sabotaging me financially, they do things like quote-unquote compliment the wicked, right? It says people are tested by their praise in the Bible. And those who forsake morally precise instruction praise the wicked. The word praise is a play on words for P, raise. The P meaning that particular reproductive organ of a male. In the wordplay in the word compliment, the C-O-M becomes M-O-C, which has the same sound as M-O-C-K, which is mock. Then you get the ply, or the P-lie. The mock, P, lie, last part ment, meaning mind, in Latin as in the word mental and mentality, but also menti, where the T is the feminine suffix. So they're mocking me for the LGBT agenda, which is most expressed and in the most toxic way in white culture and Jewish culture. No offense to anyone, just the facts here. So what language is it? English. What are they saying, and to who and why? And how much power is there in the Anglosphere, the Judeo-Anglosphere, if you will, the English people's sphere of influence? And of course, there's other people living there and here with lots of money and influence. So they're saying mock the righteous person by complimenting the wicked person. And they're going to lie about people's worth, right? The P lie, lying about the pecking order. And of course, the symbol of Mars, if I'm not mistaken here, in Roman mythology, who's their deity of their martial arts, is the woodpecker, the pecking order. And also, if you look at the symbol of a male, it also connects to the symbol of Mars. This in Roman culture, what have you. So, when they talk about their compliments, right? Think about it in terms of college. If we had a reunion here and people say, well, what have you been doing with your life? Okay. And there's a bunch of attractive females, say my age, say 30 to 40 years old, 30 to 45. You know, they've been blindfolded by the fool, and they look at things in terms of college credentials and what kind of job you've been doing and your social status. Hypocrites. 80% of them or so would probably be the type of people who identify as either Christian, Muslim, or Jew, or Jewish. But yet they're looking at things in terms of finding their life in the world. 1 John 2:15 in Paul's letters says, you foolish person, don't you know that friendship with the world is enmity against God? And of course in 1 John 2:15, do not love the world or anything in the world. Whoever loves the world, love for the Father is not in them. What's more in the world than universities? People with fancy credentials like politicians and their think tanks. Who betrays people more than people like that? Rich people with fancy credentials. The argument of the eugenicists, back when they didn't even allow people of color into colleges, they made the argument that college education and worldly knowledge magically makes people important or better than other people, what have you. So they say, what have you been doing all this time? Well, the last 16 years, I've been making videos on YouTube, and I've been prioritizing doing what is morally precise. Would that make me the most sought after bachelor in the room, even if they were aware, subtly or otherwise, that I'm the Son of God? Would their behavior and their time and their energy and their mentality reflect a good woman's response to this situation? Or reflect some kind of fair weather pigeon with some useless degree in the eyes of God and a useless philosophy in regards to scales of worth, of human worth? Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, and the least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than the greatest who's outside the kingdom. And I'm the greatest other than God in the kingdom of heaven, Christ, the Son of God. The other day, somebody, through code, they used an EBO to send the code, okay, and it's almost certainly a white, Jewish, and LGBT person sending it. And they said, how dare you claim that to be Christ, and that if I was in Africa, that they do X, Y, and Z or whatever, right? It's part of military-grade provocation. When you're the top martial artist, you're going to be pissed off by various types of people. Pee-wee Herman types piss you off to some degree. Rich racists piss you off. The Klan, if they were to confront you. It's a different type of mind, of a mental attack, and it's a different kind of anger you would feel. Especially if you're fumed and poisoned, your anger suppressed, you would be angry. There's different states of mind that they're kind of trying to assault or use to assault me in this situation. And so when you get in your head that some African guy, who's a Freemason, or maybe he's with the church, or whatever their issue is kind of maybe not challenging you, but alluding to a challenge, trying to talk down to you, you get mad. Okay, so, I got mad at the time, and I started saying things in my room, with the door closed, what have you, but I knew Big Brother's watching, and I know damn well that they share information, and I don't care who hears what I have to say when I'm angry, and so on and so forth. And so, I said, well, I am Christ in reality, right? Marshall is marital scrambled. That's not in somebody's head or something. It's not in my head or something. It's in reality. Face reality. Face the day. And I, Christ, and the bridegroom. And the word hits is scrambled in the word Christos. The heavenly warrior defeats the beast. I'm not just the top martial artist right now. I'm the top martial artist of all time. And tech, breeding, and cheating, and generational ill-gotten gains makes all future martial art challenges invalid. My life I've spent being persecuted for righteousness' sake, not being controlled opposition like people in the church or people in tribes or in whatever groups they're in who seek to use the consensus or partial consensus, if you will, of people around them to try to justify their position. God has set me apart and has anointed me in reality. I'm not fearing anyone. Martin Luther King said he wasn't fearing anybody. And he just wants to do God's will. And I'm the top martial artist ever possible. If he is not fearing anyone, do you think I am? And to insult me, or to try to insult me, is to insult yourselves and your families to the extreme. You are your parents' child. You're the product of your community. And to try to scapegoat another community, say it was whites, Jews, LGBT, military people, what have you, they'll say, well, scapegoat that community. And try to make it seem like it's coming from them. Is to dishonor your groups much, much more. Nobody likes some kind of worm that tries to blame someone else. Like when the Klan used to rape people and blame black people, it was worse than if they just raped them and, or maybe they killed them too, okay, without blaming somebody else. There's something particularly disgusting about lowly oppressor dogs who blame other people for what they've done. And in this day and age, we see them hacking people's brains. A lot of people in America are quick to insult mass shooters, what have you. Some of them aren't. A lot of them are. I judge the mass shooters by their actual guilt. I know that their brains are being hacked, they're provoked, they're fumed, they're poisoned. Things like this are happening in various ways to varying degrees. So I don't just say, hey, that guy was a nutcase and we should, do X, Y, and Z. I look at the situation and say the governing class is the most responsible. Society gang stalks people and plays stupid about it. When we were younger, if we talked about this, many of my friends, if not all of them, would say, in that situation, I just start letting people have it. You can't just let people harass you and abuse you every step of the way. Oh, I happen to not, I'm gonna let these people have it spiritually. Okay, I'm not gonna, attack people physically. So what I'm doing is even better than that. But if you're not Christ and you're being gang stalked and you're looking at the situation and you look at a life of being sabotaged while women are raped and they're willingly dating, if you want to call that, the people who rape little kids while they're throwing themselves at the Weinsteins and the Epsteins of the world, the corrupt politicians and the extortion class, the kleptocratic class, they're throwing themselves at your worst enemies. And they're mocking you and they're fuming you and they're hitting you with technologies and they're snickering and doing frat-like nerd psychopathic activities where they want you to suffer. They'll be very foolish not to at least seriously consider letting people have it with an emphasis on the richest of them. Part of how we know people are crazy as groups, right, that there's a spectrum of sheer madness in this society and on this planet, isn't because there's mass shooters. Well, to some degree that too. It's because they're not putting a special emphasis on their rich oppressors. Now, if people rallied and obeyed God through me, we could have a peaceful process, what have you. But if you're persecuting Christ, you've lost your mind if you think he should say things in a way that protects the most guilty. Now, in case you didn't hear it the first time, I've said it many, many times that I'm not a terrorist, and I want people to rally and obey God through me and to help me pressure the government to pass my war on poverty plan, to make sure everyone's housed and fed, that everyone has a chance to understand that Christ is back and they have a decision to make.